Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask all the members of the panel what movies or TV shows they enjoy themselves.
What movies or TV shows they enjoyed themselves?
No, that they like to watch for their own pleasure.
Oh, is that today or?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Reeves, what films, TV shows do you enjoy today?
I like to watch Dave, In the Heat of the Night, Picket Fences. I'm sure there are several others in it. And Evening Shades, Roseanne Lowe.
All right, good. And your standards, Mr. Hart?
Well, I hate to admit it, but I like NYPD Blue. That's a good show. It's a little rough. I like Picket Fences. It's a wonderful show. We like Northern Exposure. That's always different, kind of a fey show. These are kind of late. My wife goes to bed and I stay up and watch them. She tapes them and sees them later. But there's amidst all the junk on TV, there are some excellent shows. And people say, oh, TV, I never watch TV. And then 20 minutes later, they're telling you about some show they like.
Yeah, I like the Seinfeld. And the ones that both Steve and John mentioned. But there really isn't a lot of choice to make some of the television these days. Edward R. Murrow would be turning in his grave to see some of the really crap that's on television today. And very few and far between the good shows. But they're well done and funny, and a little more humor would be well. I used to like to watch Charles Kowald on Sunday morning too until he retired about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a good show. Yeah, the new guy didn't have the same kind of presence.
Still pretty good.
Yeah, but it's
Charles Osborne.
But I like it.
Another question, if you please. While you're thinking that over, I have a question for the entire panel, beginning with Mr. Scott. Would you discuss some unusual mail you may have received over your career, sir?
Well, aside from the paternity suit. Mostly, the ones that I really liked were from kids. You know, that said that they would they want to know how I'd do something or how did it feel like swinging on the ropes and working with the animal and things like that. The innocence when the kid writes it himself, it does something else that it was always something new when I'd open it up and see it in crayon, and they would always be asking something very very simple, and but it was really important to them. And for a long while, I used a service to answer every one of these letters, and I used to get hundreds a week. And then I became interested in trying to do some of them myself. I would read them and so forth. And the ones that were really, like the kid was sick or something like that. And it was funny about, I think in 1958, I came through the South on a tour with one of the films. And every day, I'd try and make it to one of the kids' hospitals down here, just to go through them. And I'd go in the orthopedic wards, a little broken bone and stuff like that. And they really enjoyed things like that. Some of the other hospitals I went to, but they're heartbreaking. But as to your questions, the general thing was let us be kids.
Did you wangle any proposals? Did you wangle any proposals?
Oh, I've spent more time in the courtroom than John Gotti.
And won every case.
John Hart, interesting or unusual mail in the duration of your career?
Well, not really. I began to notice a few years ago that all these letters said, I followed your career all through the years. I love your noticed your name is kind of like in different print than the rest of the letter. That's about it.
Are we talking about crayon?
No, just these kids have got a form letter. Just put your name there. It's the same as
They're right.
Yeah, they're right. They're the same letter to everybody.
Mr. Reeves, unusual or interesting mail over the years?
Well, I get a lot of mail that I receive about 20 cards to sign, and they say, well, this is for members of my family or something like that. And they're usually on something that's Xeroxed and just has Steve on there, and then you put the back and then just stop it. And I've received letters from overseas that just said Steve Reeves, Los Angeles, and I live in San Diego. So that's pretty good. It was surprisingly got to me.
Fair enough.
May we have, yes, Miss Helen Talbot.
I'd like to ask a question from the panel a question.
Please step closer, Ms. Talbot. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our guest stars, Ms. Helen Talbot.
I would like to ask everyone who they think is the best male actor today, and or who projects the best male image
The best male actor today?
today.
Well, there isn't any just one. There has to be a group of 5 or 6 that are not necessarily the best actors, but the most popular. I think Robert De Niro, Jack Nicholson, Paul Newman is always there. He's really very good. I
Mr.
think
Scott, who would you put $7.50 down at the box office to see?
I'll go with Scott. I can't find any of his films now. Or Jack or Steve. That's all. But, there's a group. The young people, they're in and out so fast, they're not prepared. And they're very, shallow. But there are 5. And the women, the younger women are doing a better job, I think, in their part of their art. I've seen isolated instances that they have a second lead or something, but there's some really great melange that's coming up, and they're working hard. You can tell. You can always tell somebody that has something in it. They don't really have to be that gorgeous or the body, but there's something really honest about them, and they're quite good. Well, guys like Richard Gere, he's a passing fancy. What's it been 10 years now? I guess he's been up there. But I don't particularly care for Tom Cruise. They're nice. They're okay. But I prefer the guys with a little more character.
John Hart, your preferences, male and female, sir?
Well, I hate to admit this, but the bitter truth of the matter is, my wife and I say, we gotta go see that movie. Another one comes up, oh, we gotta go see that movie. The time comes, well, it's a long drive. I don't know, I just don't hardly go to the movie. I think Tom Hanks is really good. I saw an interesting English movie called 4 Weddings and a Funeral. That's quite a nice, light, good entertainment type of picture. Forget the name of the leading guy, it was good. So I really can't comment too authoritatively.
No, but you have to add to that, people like Anthony Hopkins, and it goes on and on,
they're a big bunch up at the top, and then there are other ones.
I like Anthony Hopkins, and I like Al Pacino in Son of a Woman, and I especially liked Robert Duvall in Lonesome Dove. I think that was a terrific series. And as far as the women's concerned, I don't know, there isn't anyone standout as far as I'm concerned.
Right. May we have another question, please? While you're thinking that over, I'm going, oh yes. Let's see here. Yes, why don't you go ahead, Andy?
Mr. Scott, I wonder if you had any recollections of working with Sean Connery?
Recollections of working with Sean Connery?
Yeah, it was marvelous. We had, his eyes, he's really, even then was really a fine actor. the whole story revolved around the diamond theft that they had. And they had one scene with dialogue between Quayle and Al Muelock about something that they had to do and everything. And the diamonds were on the table. And the only thing Connery had to do was just look at it with greed and every other emotion that he had. And so they were taking 2 shots of the people talking, and then they were taking, the end shots. Then they took a shot of Connery just looking during this dialogue at these diamonds. And so after they processed the film and looked at the thing, what came out of the movie was their dialogue overlooking at Connery's face, looking at the diamonds. No, he was great. We had some wonderful times there. In Nairobi, there's a place called the Equator Club, and it's a restaurant, dining and dancing sort of thing. And this was during the time of the Mau thing over there. And the women there would dress in evening gowns, and they would carry little pearl-handled 32 pistols on their belt. That was part of their attire. I mean, not everyone did, but some of them did. And we'd go in there and we'd, browse around. They knew who we were on location and so forth. But they were very, very nice to us because they knew that we were using 4 of the greatest white hunters in Africa at that time: Harry Selby, Bunny Allen, John Conroy, and Barry Phillips. And these guys were the top. They worked for Carn Downing, but it's nothing. And so they would come in with us, and we'd all have a great time. Yeah, he's a marvelous guy. And we were going to use him in the next Tarzan film, which we filmed 1 a year. It took that long to get it out. And he agreed, but he said first he had to do a television show for these 2 producers. And so Weintraub, Cy Weintraub, who owned the Tarzan thing, and he said, well, go up and do it, and then we'll fly out to California and we'll sign the contract. And he said, okay. About 3 months after that, they heard from Connery's agent saying that he had done the television show, and they had decided to make a feature on it. And it was Dr. No, the Saltzman Company product. We couldn't touch him after that. Or they wouldn't, do it because of too much money.
You, sir, had a question?
Mr. Scott, I was wondering the status of your autobiography.
Pardon?
The status of your autobiography, sir?
Yeah, well, I've got about 900 pages, and it's in just jumbled form. What I did about the 30 year I was doing Tarzan, I just write down notes, and things that would happen that day. And thank God I dated them, the day it happened. And then for a while, I didn't do it. Then when I went to Europe, I did the same thing, writing down the dates and so forth. And then I just add the things that happened to me during the week or something like that, or something funny that was happening. And so now I've got all this junk to sort out. But I have a good friend with HBO, and he's the head writer for them at Time Warner. And he's very interested, and he'll be in California, I think at the end of September. So we give it to him to look at it.